So Kate, in your work as an extension educator, what kinds of observations do you use to help guide your program choices?
I use my interactions with farmers primarily to guide my decisions. And I think that the connectivity and the tightness of relationships with the people that you work with are very, very important, um, because it gives you a much better idea of what the needs are. And then the important thing is to be able to have the flexibility to respond to those needs. So when you know your community, you are constantly doing a needs assessment because people come to you or come to me and share their needs, and those are become very clear and are demonstrated. For example, farmers share with me that access to capital to fund infrastructure purchases to scale up their businesses is a really important challenge in running a sustainable farm business. So when an opportunity arose to collaborate with the Skagit Food Distribution Center on an infrastructure loan program for farmers, I responded by improving our farm record keeping tools, and then assisted several farmers in preparing financial documents to apply for the loan program. Salvador, after applying, Salvador mentioned to me that through this process of preparing the financial documents, he realized what an important role keeping good financial documents and records are in actually having access to capital to be able to make those purchases to scale up a farm.
I imagine that you experience a range of challenges in working with so many different individuals. And are there situations in your work or in your past work where you've sensed that the challenge you're experiencing is being motivated by something that you're not aware of yet, or that's not being directly shared with you? For example, I'm building myself a tiny house and it's taken me a really long time to get it framed. I took a really long hiatus from it last fall and spring, and I kept having finished roofing on my calendar, and week after week, I just wouldn't do it. I finally sat down one day and asked myself why it wasn't getting done. And I came up with a whole other series of smaller problems that I needed to address first. Like, I didn't have the roofing materials I needed, and then I didn't know how to fasten roofing materials down. And I'm also terrified of heights and didn't want to climb up on a ladder. So, once I was able to figure out what the actual problems were that were stopping me from making progress, I could start chipping away at the solutions to those smaller pieces. And my tiny house now has a roof on it.
That's great. That's a great example. I would definitely say there are lots of hidden obstacles and challenges. And in my work, I've found that when those arise and appear, it's really crucial to take a moment to understand those challenges and maybe some of the roots behind each challenge and what the motivations of each side of the stakeholders is. And for me, in many situations, it's really about being a bridge and also determining that barrier and then finding a way to step in and move that barrier out of the way. One example in our Cultivating Success farm business planning course this past year, we had one Latino farmer who participated in the course and has since launched his own farm business. And as part of the course, each participant writes a farm business plan. And we were nearing the end of the course, and this farmer didn't have his business plan written out yet. And so we took a moment and sat down to identify the major challenges or what the major obstacle was in this. And what we discovered was that without having a lot of educational opportunities in his life, the major challenge was actually just writing that business plan down. He had a full plan fleshed out in his head, and all we really needed was a scribe. So he and I sat down, and while he explained each component of his business plan to me, I typed. And at the end of the hour, we had an initial business plan that was typed and printed in both English and Spanish for him to move forward with in launching his farm business.
How do you document information and then connect it to grant writing or new projects or even project design that you're iteratively updating?
So, first, it's about listening to the audience that you work with and noting down needs and interests, and then communicating those interests to the partners who are doing the grant writing or determining workshop topics at conferences and any other program planning. For grant reporting, we've created forms to record success stories and as well as numbers of participants and other data that then we can report back on the impact. For future grant proposals and program planning, I keep a running wish list of needs and projects. And I'd say I'm constantly doing social science analysis in my mind as I work with farmers to try and find themes of needs and interests and motivations, and then integrate them into program planning. As extension agents, documenting program success is incredibly important and also challenging in that there are not always great systems that are set up for documentation and tracking. And I think that is where a great opportunity exists to improve those systems and then improve awareness and communication around the impacts of working with communities.